And so I never really had a problem with him, but I do know what he put people through, and so that was kind of like. Batteries. Kind of batteries. Maybe. I try not to keep batteries because you know how it goes.
That's just a spare roof. So it's possible to get color.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you. I didn't think you were going to be making it. They switched over? Yeah. What's that?
Even over at 2 o'clock this morning, I stood up talking. I've been offline all week.
I know. I saw your post on Facebook about Facebook. Thanks for coming, dude.
Yeah, sure.
Now I get to sit and watch you.
Squeeze in together.
And there's the guy that I look up to all the time. All the time. I see his 500,000 followers and I go, OMG.
There's a trick to that. It's called asking to be on the suggested users list.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it kind of was like, oh look, 5,000 a day. That's it.
I know. I've been doing it the hard way. I've been just building and building.
Yeah, I did that for a while, and then somebody from Google called me one day and asked, and I said, yeah, a week later.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
That was very cool.
And do you see a lot of traffic coming to your website because of that? No?
Yeah, it's all pretty much it's for that.
What's that?
I get a lot of comments, a lot of conversation on the posts I make, and I'm not seeing a lot of it right now.
Oh, okay.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I've had to follow all those SEO guys to figure out at least what I'm doing to gain traffic on my website. Right. Just like, it just takes work.
Yeah,
It's work.
it does. No tricks, more tricks.
Yeah.
As long as you know how to use it. You know how to use it.
Now I'm kind of nervous because I kind of got the master in front of me. Thank you so much.
I promise not to call out except for egregious errors.
Yeah, for the egregious ones, please do, because then I'll be like, I need to go back and change my presentation.
At least you made a presentation. I'm just going to show up and talk.
I was at your last year when I was watching, and that was when I think it was the second version. It was the one with all the circles on the side, like it had. Well, I think that in the very beginning it was all like it had circles, and it was very basic and steep bones, and then it had tiles. And that was the version. It had to been through 3 versions, I think.
At least,
Yeah. And so as I started doing and teaching, I was on that second version. Then they switched everything over on me.
Oh yeah. And that's the best part. It's the commentary. It's like, oh, it's nothing like that.
Oh yeah. And then after, like now when I teach this, I go, I can't say it's for sure because it's going to change next week. That's what's going to happen. How's the move? How's the move? Getting ready to move, right?
Explain why when you called, I couldn't get the phone.
Do I need to pose? Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started, just because I want to kind of save some time for questions at the end if you guys have questions about Google+. Welcome to this portion of TechPHX. I got to thank the guys at TechPHX for allowing me to come here and speak about Google+, because we have another Google+ person in here, Ivo Terra is in here, and he'll be talking a little bit later, and I highly recommend that you go see his presentation about Hangouts and podcasts, because I know exactly what he's doing. And it's pretty amazing what he's doing. I talked about it a little bit in one of the previous sessions, but I want to thank everyone here at TechPHX for just coming and watching. I came here to TechPHX last year, and I was actually inspired by someone who's sitting in the room, Christina Wagner over here. She was talking about Facebook last year. And I thought to myself, well, you know, there's stuff about Google Plus that I know. And I don't think anyone is really talking about it other than Ivo. And Ivo, I was in his session last year, and that was just kind of like, at that point, that was the turning point. I was like, Ivo, he kind of set the bar really high as far as what was going on. So I wanted to, and this is not a suck-up session to Ivo.
Sounds like a suck-up session. I'm just saying, at this point of view.
Ivo's amazing. Follow him, do what you got to do, buy his books, whatever. I really wanted to dive into powering Google Plus for your business. How many small business owners do we have here? Do we have any? Okay, so there's a lot of small business owners here. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I had to really delve into Google Plus as far as SEO was concerned with my sister's website. I helped her with her own website, Hernandez Family Law, and she was like, do I get on Facebook, do I get on Twitter, what do I do in order to get on these platforms, and which one's the most important? Well, naturally I'm going to say Google Plus, but it doesn't mean that I'm telling you to get rid of all your other social networks. So you'll see in this presentation what I'm talking about. So again, thank you guys for coming on out. So let's go ahead and start today, and we'll go ahead and figure out who I am. Just briefly about me. My name is Shannon. I go by Shanman on 98 KUPD. I work at the radio station at night from 7 until midnight. So it's like, what is this guy doing here talking about this? I've been an on-air personality. I'm sorry if you can't see it too much. I should have probably picked a different slide color. But I've been doing it for 13 years. I'm coming up on 14 years in about 2 months. So that's amazing for me, because I never thought I could hold a job for more than 2 years. And so 13 years and 14 years is kind of amazing to me. So I was also a high school English teacher, and I taught classical rhetoric and the art of persuasion. And so when I taught classical rhetoric to all these students, I learned that whenever I went into the digital marketing world, a lot of the same philosophies that were taught thousands of years ago by Aristotle were the same concepts that we're learning today, or that we're still practicing today. So this portion of my career was very, very difficult in terms of how I got to where I am here today, because when I was a high school English teacher, I was working full-time there, doing 6 a.m. until like 4 in the afternoon, and then I'd go and I'd work from 7 until midnight as a disc jockey at night for like 5 months, and that was pretty brutal to me. And then keep in mind that I was doing MySpace and Facebook and Twitter all at the same time, and I was a walking zombie for like 5 months. So that's kind of like where I came around with social networking. And I'm a podcast producer. Last year around this time, I had my own podcast called the 20-Minute Podcast. Very not safe for work podcast, very offensive. But it was really an experiment in learning how to podcast and be in that space and understand that space. Because as with radio, you have to understand that every niche that you're in, it has its own space and it has its own community and how things are flowing and ebbing and flowing. So radio was a whole different way of looking at podcasting, or I'm sorry, podcasting was a whole different way of looking at radio in terms of networking. You know, I mean, here I'm networking with Rob Zombie, you know, but the guy could care less who I am. So he knows who I am when I see him, but he doesn't really care. So I needed to really understand the podcast space. And I'm just an all-around cool dude. I'm your everyday guy who's trying to, you know, another squirrel trying to get a nut. Okay. So how did I get involved in Google Plus? And it's got to start with me wanting to start my own website. And I know, like, when you hear this presentation, you're like, when's it going to get to the Google Plus stuff? I promise you, this is where it starts. whenever I started, and I wanted to get involved in Google Plus, it all started with me wanting to blog, and I thought my listeners would want to know, like me, hey, here's a picture of me cooking salmon, and this is where these are my deep thoughts at night, in the middle of the night. And I thought, oh, this is great. All my fans can see this, all 50 that were really following me, you know. And so I was like, you know, I want to do this, but the problem that I kept running into was that I needed a website other than Blogger. I needed something that was designed and I could gather information. And every time I talked to someone, it was about, hey, can you build me a website? Yeah, how much is it going to cost? $5,000. And I was like, no way I'm doing that. Like, I'm sure some of you guys have run into that. And you realize that a good website costs anywhere between $1,000 to maybe $5,000, depending on who you're asking to do the website for. So I went ahead and did it all myself. And I learned WordPress all by myself. And my very first website was called Shannon Online. And that was, it was basically a brand about me, the radio personality. And so it failed. It was a major failure. And I was just kind of like, this is not the way I want this. I want something more. I need something more. How do I do this? And like, you're seeing people getting this traffic on their website. You want to know how it works. So I did everything. And so I started learning the backends of websites and WordPress. Around the same time, this is when Google Plus had just released, and just like we were talking with Evo. It was the first version of Google Plus. How many of you guys were on the first version of Google Plus? And you saw how much it sucked, right? It was horrible. It was like a shell of something, and you clicked on something, and it took you to another shell, and then like you were like, well, this sucks. I don't want to be here. And so you kept hearing in Mashable, and you kept hearing in Gizmodo, and and Whether It Be Entrepreneur, you kept hearing, you got to be on Google Plus, you got to be on Google Plus. No one understood why you had to be on Google Plus. So I was like, okay, I need to know. I know this is important, but I don't know why. Okay. So the first question I have to ask though is, what is Google Plus? Well, you know what? It's not Twitter, and it's not Facebook, and this is what people equate it to all the time, and it pisses me off, quite frankly, because when I moved from MySpace to Facebook, MySpace wasn't, Facebook wasn't MySpace. It was a whole different way of looking at things. Okay. When I got involved in Twitter, it wasn't Facebook, nor was it MySpace. It was where you updated things. It's okay, come on in. It was where you updated in Twitter, you updated your thoughts. It was more of a thought stream. And then you guys all understand this. Twitter is a thought stream. It's either a thought stream, or for some marketers, it's, hey, you guys, there's some chairs over here if you want.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't mind stopping everything. Everyone watch them walk across the platform.
Thank you.
Thanks for sending them over here.
Yeah. Looking out for you, buddy. Looking out for you, buddy. So to kind of get back, Twitter is it's a thought stream, and of course for marketers, it's a way for them to vomit their products onto you on Twitter, okay? And within Twitter, you understand that there is a method of how it works. It's just a stream of information, and if you don't have your phone optimized to get those notifications from people, you're just missing on all the action. But if you are, then you're getting 1,000 notifications from me because I'm updating about the radio station, I'm updating about Google Plus, I'm updating about what I had for lunch, I'm updating about whatever. So that's one way of how that platform works. Facebook is the same way. It has its own way of working, right? So when I first started Facebook, I think it was the wall. You had the wall, right? And everyone posted on the wall, and it was a chronological wall, right? Well then, Mark Zuckerberg decided to say, okay, well let's change it up, and now we're going to throw in an algorithm in there, and now it's going to be the most popular stories that are showing up, and it's going to be from your friends. And so then I was like, well that's no fun, because no one gets to see what I'm seeing, or what I'm posting out. And I thought, no, I can't do this. So when I tell people, when I teach them about Google Plus, you have to think of Google Plus you can't think of it in terms of Facebook, Twitter, and advertising campaigns. Someone had told me, oh, Google Plus doesn't have the opportunity like Facebook for you to insert advertising campaigns to pay money to read your stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's a good thing, because I hate advertising. I hate it completely. And Google Plus, in essence, allows you to do it for free and to advertise for free without being so over, just being so out there and bold, okay? So the main purpose behind what I'm trying to get across to people is how to make Google Plus work for you. And the question is, how and where does it start? And there are many different opinions about this, and they say it starts with your profile. Where do you guys think it starts? Where do you think Google Plus starts for you? Anyone?
Get your video. Comes on video.
Okay, those are great answers. Actually, I gotta tell you, it's gonna start with your blog. That's where it starts. Okay. okay?
Actually, it starts with your web browser.
Starts with your web browser. Actually, it starts with you pushing power. Okay? Starts with your blog. Okay? This website allows you to optimize and maximize what you're doing on your blog. Okay? And you got to start asking questions. You got to start asking these questions about how are you helping your customers? How are you helping your potential clients? All right? Are you answering these questions on your website for them? Do they have questions about aquariums? And you have every answer that there is about aquariums. Okay? And you know how to build aquariums and sell aquariums to potential other customers. And what are you doing to keep them to come back to your website? Okay. Now, when I say this, people say, "Oh my God, well, this is such a foreign concept to me because I don't know what I do to keep them on my website." Okay. Well, imagine it in the physical world. You go to someone goes to a costume shop, or you go anywhere. You go to a Kmart, and someone says to you, "How can I help you today, sir? Is there anything I can answer it for you?" And usually you say, "Oh no," but there's usually that one person who says, "Yeah, I have this costume here in rubber, and I have this costume here in leather, and I don't know which one is better to wear for Halloween." And then you, as the business owner, asking questions and saying, "Well, what is it that you're looking for? What are you going to be doing exactly?" So you are the expert. You're in the niche. You know exactly how to answer this question about this costume. Okay. So what are you doing to return that back to your site? Are you giving out great content? Are you giving out? And when I say great content, how valuable is your content? Is it great content, or is it just average content? Are you willing to give away the farm, or are you willing to just go ahead and give away just average stuff? Okay. I'm going to say give away great, valuable content because it's going to get them back to your website. Okay, but I promise we'll come back to this blog part eventually. So the question of the day: when we start a Google Plus profile, we're going to transition into the network briefly. Is do you have a profile or do you have a page? Does anyone know the answer to this? Should you have a profile or should you have a page? What's the answer to that one?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Because your profile runs your page, doesn't it?
Profile runs a page, right? But which one should you be operating out of mostly?
Profile.
Evo? I'm just kidding.
Profile.
What's that, profile?
Personal profile.
Yep, personal profile, exactly. Now, personal profile is who you are. That's your brand. That's what you do. And I'm going to pick on him because he's in here. And Evo is his own brand. He's pretty much his own brand. He writes books. He's an author. He's a publisher. He has a company too, but he is his own brand. He is a person. And when people are on Google Plus, just like any other social network that you're out there, people don't want to see a company trying to pitch you on something over and over and over. You don't want to see that. They want to see profiles. They want to connect. They want to network. What we're doing here is all we're doing is networking. You're all learning about who I am, and I'll probably learn about who you are eventually. That's what you do on these networks, okay? So I'm going to give you the benefits of having a Google Plus profile, and there are benefits, and they are dramatic compared to what you're seeing on Facebook and on Twitter, okay? So you probably run into this problem with your Google Plus profile. You have like 5 Gmail addresses. You have 5 Gmail addresses, and you don't know which one you're going to use because you have all these Gmail addresses, and which one's going to be your Google Plus profile. You need the one primary Google Plus profile. You need the one Gmail address that you're going to operate everything out of, okay? So the question I had, and it was funny, I'm not going to name names, but it was someone from Infusionsoft that hit me up the other day, and they said to me, I have 3 email addresses, I have all these YouTube channels, and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, what are you doing over there? Like, you work for Infusionsoft, you should be optimizing this. Like, why are you asking me? And so then she says, well, I should just hire you. And I'm just like, well, okay, fine, whatever. No. So you need to have one Gmail address for everything, okay? It's a primary way to connect with users, and of course, it indexes you inside of a Google search. And this is where we start getting into Google Plus being a part of Google search. Did you guys know that it was all tied to search? Yes. You guys pretty much knew that? Okay. So some of this may be very, it might be just regurgitating and vomiting over you all over again with this information. But this indexes you, your profile indexes you based on the keywords that you are. So if you're a publisher, or maybe you're a photographer, or if you are wanting to do more business locally, inside of your About page, under the tagline, you would keyword these things in order to optimize your profile so when someone searches you out, they say, Mark Spomer, photographer, his Google Plus profile should show up, okay? It should show up. inside the search. But there are little tricks and tips that you have to go into making your search or your profile show up in search higher. Okay, and that's all based off of participation. Okay. The big one is Google Authorship. This is a huge one that is talked about constantly over and over and over. Okay, Google Authorship is this is whenever you do a search. And you guys have done a search inside of Google, and you search like, how to change out, wheel bearings on my car, and then of course you get a search and you see the search result, and then of course you see the picture right next to that, right? And you're probably clicking on the first or second or third result, unless you're really looking deep for an answer, okay? Google Authorship, it has your photo show up in search. Photos are eye-catching. And of course, the byline where it says, it's all the metadata below it that has the description of what the website is that you're visiting. This is going to be included in it. This Google Authorship is tied from your Google Plus profile to your website and your blog. So anything that you're authoring, whether it be a podcast with show notes, whether it be photography, whether it be how-to tips, anything you author on your website is going to be, you need to have Google Authorship. It's absolute necessity, okay? You go in and you do a search for Google Authorship Shannon Hernandez, you'll see my picture show up, and it's pulling my profile pictures straight from Google Plus, okay? So if there's anything that I'm telling you today that you need to do that is highly important, is that you need to set up Google Authorship. You go to my blog, there's all kinds of stuff up there about how to set up Google Authorship, all right? This right here, Google Authorship gives an advantage, and your profile gives an advantage to the little guy, the person who is not a big, gigantic Coca-Cola, Nike brand, okay? These Nike brands are getting constant traffic over and over and over and over, and yet who's to say that you don't have a better idea of how to make a soda, So this gives an advantage to the little guy. And like I said, there's little tips that go into creating and showing up in search, okay? And of course, sorry it's at the very bottom, I was running out of room there. You need it to author other content on other sites. So the big thing that we talk about on the network, at least what I do, is that you talk about guest blogging, and I know that's like the F word in terms of trying to do your business. Like, I just can't, I'm not going to do that. That's just too much work. I can't do that. Guest blogging is horrible. Well, I can tell you right now, if you find some authorities and if you find some people that you can guest blog with, all you're doing is you're helping yourself. You're providing content for them, and you're making yourself available in search, okay? Because if they have Google Authorship set up on their website, likely you're going to want to be somewhere in a search when someone searches how to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, come on. So let me show you the heat map of the day, because we had the question of the day, and why not the heat map of the day? And the heat map of the day is a study that was done by Google, and this was actually found on, I believe, Moz.com. And the study was called The Perception and Understanding of Social Annotations in Search. Okay? And what had happened is that they gathered, I think, 8 to 9 people, and they did this study. Okay? And they were studying their eye tracking motions whenever they went into a search and they did a search. Okay? And what had happened was that of these subjects, I think 8 out of the 9 subjects, I think you can find the link down there if you want to read all about it. It's pretty exciting reading. Of the 8 or 9 subjects, they found that they were hitting the photos more often. They were hitting the photos, and they were hitting also this byline area. Okay, so setting up Google Authorship on their website, or these authors that are setting up Google Authorship on their website, were getting more click-throughs. Okay, so they were seeing more click-throughs because they had authorship set up. Yes.
Is it possible to turn the light off like at the front, or is that going to affect the video?
No, I don't know if it will. Is there a light switch over there?
There should be a light switch over there. If not.
Yeah, can you turn that light off? Oh, that's much better.
Ah,
Sorry for the green. I'm colorblind.
That's awesome.
I'm colorblind, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm not really, I'm just making an excuse. So, going back to it, so of the subjects that were studied, the majority of them fixated on the rich snippets about the same time they were looking at the photo. So they were focusing a lot on the description here, and they were also focusing on the photo at the same time because they figured this person was some form of an authority on what they were talking about, okay? Same thing goes for videos. You can see there's a higher density of people looking at the pictures down here. They're looking at the pictures and they're reading kind of the title of what the blog is all about. So having Google Authorship set up on your website and blogging is very important. Okay, and of course, like I said here, it was 150% increase in click-through rate. So what does this mean for you as a small business owner? Well, as a small business owner, you're trying to optimize, you're trying to get people to follow what you're doing. Okay, so when someone clicks to your website, there should be somewhere a proportion on your website that you're, you should know this. You should be having them opt in on your email list somehow, or giving them something for free, something to get them on your email list. Exactly, 150% increase. That's a lot. That's a huge number to me to believe that if people are looking at pictures, and they're like, oh hey, it's like it's like flashing lights. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Okay, so that's the heat map of the day. Now let's move into the Google Plus page. Okay. There are different types of pages that you can set up. There's a local page, there's an arts and entertainment page you can set up, brands, celebrities, sports. I go into celebrity category. No, I'm just kidding, I don't. I'm just a regular person, everyday person. I don't have a brand, okay? My brand is me, and that's why I continue to have a profile. But if you are a business and you have some form of brick and mortar business, okay, you want to definitely set up a local page. If it's a destination where people buy your products and services and they're physical, you want to set up a local page. Okay. Now, if you are just a brand, a regular brand, and you're just selling stuff online, you want to set up your page as just a brand. Okay. So with brick and mortars, you should have like I said, a local page. It integrates with Google Places, and when you go in and you set up your Google Places through Google Local, and you'll see it whenever you go to the Pages portion. When you set up Google Places, this is a place where you're setting up the location data. You're setting up, it's integrating itself with Google Maps, okay? And you're setting up all your business vitals, your phone number, your address, okay? And of course, it's a place to leave reviews. Reviews on Google Plus, people can find your business in any portion of Google Plus if they're searching out divorce lawyers. And if your firm comes up, that white spot that's on the right-hand side of Google, this is where your brand will show up whenever you start setting all this stuff up, okay? So you need to have this involved in your local page, okay? You can also manage your insights. Just like on Facebook, you have insights to your page, okay? And it only works with local. It doesn't work with brands like A&E brands, celebrities, and sports. It only works with local, so you can put in your Google Analytics and you can see who is visiting, who's viewing your content at most, okay? There's more to the Google Plus page. And let me know if I'm going a little too fast because I don't want to freak people out, okay? You can also check out page managers. If you have a YouTube channel, you can create a YouTube channel now that ties with your Google Plus page, okay? And you can see those analytics and see who's visiting and who's not visiting. You can also hold Hangouts from a Google Plus page. So if you have something that you want to start hosting a weekly show, you could do this, and it's all going to be tied to this page, okay? You can check the Google's sign-in analytics. You know how you can sign into websites with Facebook? You can now do it with Google, okay? And you can see how many people are signing into your actual website. All right, page insights, and you can see the requests for directions to your local business, okay? But the other thing that I think is important about Google Plus pages is that people say, how do you use a page? And it's the same concept that you would ask about how you're using a page on Facebook. What you do in Google Plus and how I've seen it and how I see other SEOs use it is they use their page as a curation page. And it's like, in a sense, kind of like a newspaper, okay? And so what they're doing is that they're creating all this great content on their blog, these how-tos, their podcasts, whatever it may be. And what they're doing is they're posting their stuff there. Are they getting traffic to it? Sometimes. It just depends on how much that page is actually interacting with people, okay? But they're using it as a newspaper. When you go into Google Plus, you see now it's all the tiles and all that, okay? These will be content, it's content with your posts. These will be also reposts. So if I wanted to go from my sister's website, Hernandez Family Law, and say Eagle wrote something that had to deal with family law, maybe child custody, which I'm sure he's writing all about, it would be, I could share that out and say, hey, this is a great share from Evo. All right, Evo starts seeing that I'm participating with him. We start making these connections, okay? And he could follow the firm at any time, okay? So you got to make your page a destination for content. That's what's important. It's just like your blog. You got to make your Google Plus page a destination for content. And this is where you include your Google Plus badge you pull your Google Plus badge from the developers portion and you put this on your website. And what this does on websites is that it allows people to +1 your website, and it allows them to follow you directly. And also, it allows for this thing called publisher. There's authorship and there's publisher. And what publisher does is that thing, what I'm telling you about, it puts your information on the right-hand side of Google when someone does a search for your company. And you want people seeing what your company is all about, and you can see the latest posts from your Google Plus. That's what I mean. It's showing that you're active on Google Plus. Okay. If you go to 98kupd.com, like I've had to pull wizards to get them to do this, and finally now it's starting to show up. When you search 98kupd, now you see the little Google card that's on there. It's because I put a badge on my website. So make sure you're putting a badge on your website. Stop taking pictures of me.
My sister will kill me if I don't. Stop taking pictures.
Whatever. Okay, so what makes Google Plus so special? All right, so here's I had to really think about how I wanted to phrase all of this. Okay, Google Plus is special because everything that you're doing inside Google Plus, that you're doing is public, is found in search, right? So what's so special about Google Plus? You're building relationships that correlate with people resharing your content, and you're building the authority. So it's just the same way as if I were sitting here and I'm talking to all of you guys. You know, somewhere along the line, someone's going to think I'm some type of authority. I don't consider myself an authority, but some people do. All you're doing is you're doing it online. And what happens is that sometimes you run into these people, and you run into some people that have 50,000 followers, and you see the activity on their Google Plus page, and then sometimes what happens is they reshare, or they find one of your posts that's amazing, and they reshare it out, and then your follower count starts skyrocketing out of nowhere because they think that you're an authority. Okay? So this is very important. The reason I put these first is because it's very important to network. This is not a network about just dumping your content and link dumping and then saying, peace out. This is an actual network where you have to sit and socialize. Okay? And it's hard for us. I understand it's hard for us. Contributing to other people's content through posts, it's just like at Facebook. You want to contribute to other people's content, but when you do this, you start seeing people follow your content. You see them start reading what's going on in your world, and then if you have your website optimized for email opt-ins, then you start seeing the results. I mean, I'm starting to see people from like the Czech Republic, and I'm like, you probably don't even know how to speak English, right? But they're following what I'm doing, so which I find is kind of funny. Okay. Like I said before, public posts are indexed almost immediately in search. A great example about this was about, I think it was 8 months ago, and there was a guy who attended one of my workshops, and he said to me, he sent me a message, and he goes, how the heck did this happen? And I said, what? And he goes, I typed in pizza in Phoenix, and a video of you eating a piece of pizza showed up in search. And I was like, that's awesome. That was cool to me, you know, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. And so I was like, man, if this is the power behind search, if this is the power behind Google Plus, what else does it have? Google Plus just isn't this network of like, oh, it's Facebook, and let me go just dump my problems about my girlfriend up there. No, it's different. It's definitely different, and it helps the small business owner. Public posts can gain authority in organic search. So what I mean is that, like, your website, you're trying to gain this organic authority on your search. Everyone's trying to be on the first page of Google, right? Well, if you start participating in Google Plus, you can do the same thing. People can +1 your posts, and these posts start gaining authority. And all of a sudden, when you do a search on something, you might see a Google Plus post that shows up. That is organic, not a personalized search result. Because when you're personalized, it means you're logged into Google. But if you're doing it just organically, sometimes posts start showing up, and it's like maybe a how-to on doing something, and your information is so valuable that people just go, oh my God, this is amazing. I want to utilize this. And then there's this thing called What's Hot. What's Hot, and I showed in the What's Hot section. I think it was before they did like an algorithm change. But this is an example of what happened, and this is when I was mind blown. I was like mind blown by this. It was back in May 4th of this year, and I just thought it was like Happy May the 4th, and they have hashtags in Google Plus too. And I posted this out, and I put May the 4th be with you, and I didn't think anything of it really. And I was like, all right. And it was at night, it was a Friday night, and I just posted it out. And it started gaining some traction, and it was getting like 10 +1s. The +1s are likes, they're just like likes on Facebook. The +1s are here. And I started going, all right, fine, whatever, you know, no big deal. I went to bed that night, I got home from work, I went to bed that night, I woke up and I had like 335 like +1s. I'm like, what just happened? you know. And then I took my phone off of silent, and I started like getting all these notifications, and it just kept racking up and racking up and racking up. And I was like, what is going on here? It was all because I hashtag happy May the 4th be with you, and it was because it was a trending topic in Google Plus. And then I thought at this point, if this is an opportunity where I could have put my website in there and they could have visited my website, I could have gained traffic authority to my website. Whether they believed it or not, they still were hitting the website. So what would have been happening? Okay? So that was kind of like my aha moment of Google Plus. I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Now the algorithm has changed and the What's Hot section has changed, and I think it's now more personalized towards what you're clicking on. Yes?
So with every post that you do you put your website in there for the chance that it could, or do you kind of go with the jab, jab, punch?
What I do is that, like, people are people. I like Star Wars, I like podcasting, I like heavy metal music, I like jazz, I like whatever. And it's the 80-20 rule. It's post 80% of the stuff that you're posting is personal. It's what you think is fun. I'm not going to tell you that's the way to do it. You know, this is just the way I do it. So I post that, and then there's 20% of the time that I do post things that relate to Google Plus. And you'll see my page is littered with a lot of Google Plus stuff. You know, about Google Play, you know, Google Plus, Google Authorship, Google Hangouts, things like that. So I want to try and be a help to people who are trying to figure out the network. Okay, so that's what you got to do. You got to socialize with other people, and then whenever there's something you want to share out, you can share it out. But what I would recommend is that you find people in your niche and you reach out to them and you start building these alliances, so that whenever you do share something out, they can share something out that you put out, and then it just starts to spread. You got to start building your alliances in Google Plus. Okay. There we go. Make friends with Google Plus authorities. That's what I started to do. Kind of like Evo. I don't think I'm his friend yet, but not yet. But you got to make friends with the Google Plus authorities. There's an authority on there called, her name is Jana Nystrom. You see her all the time. And here's the mind-blowing thing that happened to me the other day. So let me start here first. Authorities who have a lot of clout in Google Plus, they have this tendency sometimes to share things of yours, and when they do this and it's helpful, it will start gaining this traction. Okay? And what I mean by traction is that they have this large following, and of course when they're participating actively on network and they're promoting whatever it is they're promoting, and when they share something out, you'll start seeing like your follower count start ticking up, and you'll start seeing people following what you're doing. Okay, we've all heard that like 5-10 minutes ago. Okay. What happened to me, and this has just happened to me last week, okay, and it just blew my mind. I shared out to a community on Google Plus because I had written a blog called Beginner's Guide to Google Plus Hangouts. Very beginner's basic guide. They were just frequently asked questions. And the reason I wrote the blog post is because my sister was having problems with her guests getting on Google Plus Hangouts, and they needed to download a plugin, they needed a webcam, and so these are basic questions that people just didn't know. So I thought, I'll go ahead and share this. When I posted this out on that Saturday, it needed time to index, really wasn't doing anything, and I was just kind of just pumping it out there here and there. Well, then I shared this post with the Google Plus community, which actually happened to be Yana's, and Yana has like 500,000 people that follow her on Google Plus. And someone tagged her on it, and she went through and she skimmed it over, and then she's like, here's a great blog post on Google Plus for beginners, for rookies. And when she posted it, like, I started seeing like my website blow up, and I'm like, what just happened? Like, my phone was going off. I'm like, what's going on here? And what happened was that she drove all this traffic to this website, and I showed up on the first page of organic search. And I was like, and there's so many people that already are writing beginner's guides to Google Plus. What made me so special? I didn't have to link build. I didn't have to go out and I had to comment on blogs. I just had Yana reshare it because she had so much authority in already what she was doing, and people trust her content. So this was that day I showed up. This was like at the lower part of the page, so this is like position 7. But I'm not even looking to get a beginner's guide to Google Plus. I'm looking for a beginner's guide to Google Plus Hangouts. I rank number 2 on the Google Plus on that page for that search query. Beginner's guide to Google Plus Hangouts. And right above me is someone from Actionable, and I'm like blown away.
Wow. Awesome.
Okay. So I'm not telling you that this is exactly how you need to do it because it changes all the time. You have to work at it. Okay. Let's see. What am I doing on time? Oh, that's fine. Here's some other Google Plus opportunities, and this is where I recommend that you come back after lunch and you come on and you watch Ivo's presentation. He's going to do a great presentation, I'm sure, on Hangouts that he's preparing right now. That's why his laptop open. I'm just kidding. But Hangouts are such, they just are mind-blowing to me. Everything is mind-blowing within this network, okay? With my sister's website, what had happened is that I needed her to start gaining some traction. And with video, I don't know if you guys have heard, but video has this extra added gold for whatever it is that you're doing. It's just SEO gold. And if you know how to go in and optimize the website or the video, then it's even better. Okay? And the thing, I'm forgetting what I was telling here, but I was telling someone about how people have a hard time creating video because you have to hire a production team, and then you have to go in and create the script. You have to do all these things. It was you, right? Yeah, it was you. And that's just a big pain in the butt, right? And some of us don't have that, but we need to create video. Well, this is your answer to creating quality content. What are you doing to help people out? Remember, we go back to that one of those first beginning slides. What are you doing to help people out? Okay. And I had my sister start doing Hangouts because she's a divorce attorney, and there are a lot of questions about, can my wife take my son out of state if we're not divorced yet? And those are questions that people genuinely have, and she's now starting to answer those questions. Has she gone and optimized her videos yet? Some of them, but she's working on it, and for her, it's a process. Everything is a process. Okay. So I had her now starting to do these. Well, I started doing them because I started to see the value in them, and they started showing up higher in searches. I did a 98 KUP Google Plus Hangout, and it was 3 of us from the radio station all talking about Breaking Bad and whether or not we thought Walter White was going to. I'm not going to tell you if you haven't seen it yet. Okay? Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Walter White was going to go back to teaching. Okay. And we started talking about it, and so then when I started doing these search queries, and I was just like KUPD Breaking Bad, and if the morning show had been talking about Breaking Bad that day, that video shows up like one of the top search results every time. It doesn't matter. But you have to figure out which keywords that you're using in order to optimize those videos. Okay? And I consult people with that, or I teach them how to do that. Okay? Hangouts on air, they're shared publicly, so anytime you initiate a Hangout on air, it's shared publicly to the world. So anyone can watch it. There's a page for Hangouts on air, and you'll be able to see that. And people can watch whatever. And if you watch on Sundays, it's all fun because you see ministries. There's like all these ministries that are all doing Google Plus Hangouts. But they want to get people to come in and be members. Okay? So this is a perfect opportunity for you to find authorities, and you go out and you try to be on their Hangout. I mean, if you have something to say and you know something a little more that authority doesn't know, and you're in a specific niche, then you want to be on their Hangout because they're going to pump you out and they're going to likely tag you in this. Okay? And then after that, you want to be able to optimize your website and put this stuff on your blog. Okay? So the goal is here to become an authority for you. You should become an authority. I think, Christina, you do Vets on Radio, right? And explain that real quick for me.
Vets on Media was started by 2 Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, and they bridge the gap between the civilian community and the veteran community. I'm not a veteran, I'm a civilian, and I do a show called No Limits.
Right. So she could become an authority if she continues to socialize on this network, and there are people on this network that do things just like what you're talking about. Okay. She could be another side, or she could be the Arizona version of supporting vets and civilians. Okay. So my challenge to you is, and I keep screwing up my slides here. My challenge to you, and ultimately what it is today, is that you need to start blogging. You have to start writing. That's the thing. You should be writing. I mean, if you want to start gaining some traffic and helpful information, you should start writing valuable content on your website. Make your website some destination or utility in order to go to. Okay. You got to find your groove. I find a groove every week. Probably not today because I'm doing TechPHX, but you got to find a groove. I blog every week, okay, and I do it from the coffee shop. Share your blog via the social networks or your email list, okay, and reshare other people's content because the more you start doing these things, more people will see that you are of value, okay? And let authors know that you are sharing their content. Tag them, let them know. Hey, Eric, Inga, I just shared your blog on Hummingbird, the new algorithm for Google. Okay? And I could go on a whole other rant on that. And do yourself a favor. A lot of you probably have a Google Plus profile, but you're not using it, which sucks. Because I think you should use it. In fact, I think personally you should be using it more on Facebook. Okay? Yeah, you should be using it more on Facebook because it has such SEO value behind it. All right? Revisit your Google Plus profile, go through and optimize it by filling out your About page. And share your websites through posts on Google Plus. Okay? Share your website, you know, and like I said, that's the 20% rule. You know, give people kudos. I think I've kind of repeated myself there. Again, become an authority in your niche. Set up your Google authorship. Build relationships with authorities. I mean, I'm hammering this. I mean, it's pretty obvious what I want you to do. Right? You want to list the websites where you contribute. This is where Google authorship comes into play. There's going to be a section on your About page that's called links, I think is what it is. And there's the contributor to this section. Now, people just think they can just start saying, oh, I contribute to this blog and I contribute to that blog, and they just start putting blogs up there. No. This links directly to authorship. So I contribute to my blog, and I have to link my blog back to my Google Plus website, and then I have to verify it. And there's blogs on my website that tell you how to do that. Okay. And then I took this screenshot, and then I forgot, and I realized that I had 2 KPs, so I clearly contribute a lot to them. Not really, just that's a joke. And I just contribute. I contribute to my sister's blog website. So what happens? And let me kind of go into a brief little side idea, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. There's this idea called propinquity. Okay, propinquity. What it is that in layman's terms, it's stumbling upon other people's content or this authority's content at every turn. So if I'm blogging for my website, I'm blogging for Hernandez Family Law, I'm blogging for 98KP, and I blog for Mark Spomer, I blog for Evo, and I blog for Christina. Eventually, you're going to start seeing me pop up over and over and over. Okay? And if these blog websites have Google authorship shown up, you're going to start trusting my content because you appreciate my content and you love my content, and you're going to go ahead and go read it every time. And hopefully, it's going to lead you back to my content that I'm publishing on my own website. So the propinquity theory is that you should be at every turn. You should be blogging everywhere else too. All right. So try to create these schedules. All right. And there's some little tips and hints and tricks in here. Links. I put it inside of links, and I just added a couple last night. But links. You know, this is a link directly to my website where they can find me on the radio, Hernandez Family Law on Google Plus. But what you can put in these links are helpful posts of your website. So when someone goes to see your website, and they say, Google Plus for beginners, you have that link right in there. Or, hey, check out some great authors. Here's a couple that I recommend. Here's some great photographers. Here's some that I recommend. So when they're looking at this, they can go and click. All right? And so you let those people know that you're doing that. So I want to thank you guys for coming out. I know this is kind of like a very overview. I can't go into the network and tell you exactly what to do because that would take forever. There are methods and how you post. There are methods of what you do inside Google+. So I highly suggest that you follow my blog, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. It'll tell you exactly what it is. I post at least once a week for everyone. Do you have a question?
I have a couple. So when you talk about optimizing videos, that's just simply like writing a good description on it, putting your website in it. Is that what you mean by optimizing videos?
I would put video. I would put your social media links in there. I would put your website, and then I would go in and I would start creating the little boxes, you know, to optimize. Where you put a little, you know, you can create the annotations.
Oh, okay. So actually in the video.
Yeah, I would figure out what you need to do to put the annotations. I think even now on YouTube, they're already doing that for videos that that are already yours, and it's leading you to another video. But when you create video, you should be finding a way to get them either to go to another video or to go to your website. Okay.
And then the Google badge, and I know you probably have a blog on this, so sorry.
Not yet.
So you said you pull it from the developer's portion. It's not the page URL or the profile URL?
No, you pull it from the developers, you pull the badge from there. That's correct.
Okay. And you do have a blog on that? So
I will write a blog on that, so I'll let you guys know what the blog is on that. Yes.
I know for a long while, if you had a company or organization Google Plus page, only one person could be the owner or the manager of it. Is that still the case?
No, you can have multiple managers. You can have multiple managers, and if you want to change one of those managers to an owner, they have to be actually a manager for at least 10 days, and then you can transfer the ownership.
Have you blogged that anyone?
No, yeah.
That would be another good one because I get that quite frequently.
Great.
And it's good to know I've been giving the wrong answer like the last few months.
That's cool.
I just did it like yesterday on all of mine. So
Yes, I know. Yeah, I totally missed you. I saw you ask the question, and then
It's okay, Shannon.
sorry about that.
My question is you keep saying about blogging, is it wise to be blogging off your website or have another place that, like on WordPress, that has the blog? I get a lot of different answers. Where do you put your blog? Is it just leave it on your website? Do you add to your website the blog? Or do you have a different place?
No, you just have
connected
a a blog on your website. I mean, WordPress allows for that.
I know that. That's where I have it, but I'm getting some people saying, Angel, get your blog off your website.
No.
You get
No.
more as
No.
That's
No,
incorrect.
I'm getting
Like
a
you need
lot
to
of-
stone those people.
yeah.
That's bad SEO.
I would like the beat down. Like that's.
Unfriend.
Yeah, that's like
No,
no.
you're right, but she was telling
Okay,
me.
well, now you.
No. If someone's telling you to do that, you need to like they came from a different universe. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
Do you find that so Google Plus has Blogger? Do you find that a lot of the people using that platform are doing better on it? Do you know anything about that?
I mean, I know
Anybody have any input on that?
there's some people that do use it, but I know more people use WordPress
Yeah.
than anything else. I mean, do you know that really?
Google Plus does not have Blogger. Google owns Blogger.
Owns
Google owns Google
Yeah.
Plus about 90 everything. So there are some connections together, but you will get no benefit if you are currently a WordPress or a Drupal blogger. If you switch to Blogger, don't ignore that.
Yeah, don't go backwards.
Yeah.
You know, go
So
from
it
Blogger
doesn't matter
to
I
which
use
one you have.
WordPress.
yeah. Don't go backwards because then you'll hate life at that point.
You should ask that question because I think you're giving yourself bad advice.
Oh really?
It's not, you should ask your question and think what you just said.
Oh well, this is what I just heard you say. So maybe I guess she heard me say that I heard it wrong. But so wait, so it doesn't matter if you have Drupal or WordPress or Blogger. It doesn't help you or hurt you. They're all the same. With Google.
If you are an established blogger and you already have a platform that you are comfortable with, everything's working fine for you, don't change.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Not quite the
right.
same thing as you said. I want to make sure that I'm quite clear on that.
Well, I guess I was kind of hearing you say, well, I guess maybe what I'm wondering is if your people don't have one, then
Which one should they?
which one should they go to?
Not answering that question.
Son of
I'll put myself out there and say,
Yes.
it doesn't matter too much, but you want one that you can
Keywords
identify
answer.
and
Yes,
identify.
yeah. Your website, the website that you want to be known for, it should be the one hub that you're using. So you should be using one hub for everything that
Yes.
you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's harder to do with Blogger than the others.
Yeah, so I would recommend WordPress. I would say if you wanted to use Drupal, you can. I'm not a fan of Drupal, but I prefer WordPress. Yes.
I started with WordPress as a blog 4 or 5 years ago, but I already had a main website, so I linked the two together.
Okay.
But I've been hanging out with the WordPress meetups here in town. That's actually how I found out about this. And their whole thing is that they're using WordPress as a platform for your website,
Yes.
and then your
Yes.
blog is there. That gives you the optimization with Google.
That's
That's why you don't want to separate the two, because what I've got going is like, it's the old style, is I link to my blog.
Well, it's just the difference between .com and .org, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're splitting your authority between two sites at that point.
Right. You're splitting everything.
So
up.
now your reputation authority is being split between a WordPress.org, which also houses all of the other WordPress sites on the same server,
No.
versus your website, well, .org, .com, sorry.
Yes.
Either way, I mean, you're still splitting your reputation and
Right.
authority between two sites.
If
So
you're
instead of
just-
optimizing one, you now have to
If
optimize
you're
two,
just
and it's gonna be
starting
harder.
out, WordPress.com, but eventually you're going to get better at it, and you're going to want to be on .org, so you might as well start.
Just start with your own website and run a blog and then
Right.
add
Yes.
to it as you go.
Yes.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Buy a domain and put all the
Yeah. I mean, I recommend that you guys. I recommend if you're going to start a website, You need to start it self-hosted.
Yeah.
Starting with self-hosted, that's the way to do it. Yeah.
So I'm a total beginner in all this.
Get out.
So like everything is kind of a little bit over my head, but so with like Steven doing a blog is you just want to do one blog and then link all your other like Facebook and Twitter. I mean, or I don't know.
So what you want to do is like I said earlier, you want a blog. You want to start with your blog. You want to create content on your blog that people want to go to. That what is it that you're trying to promote?
I'm a veteran and I'm started a business that focuses on holistic health and
Okay.
like that.
So you're going to start giving tips on the best practices, holistic practices, in order to, for vets, especially because you're narrowing it down so much. And you want to give the best tips and practices, but who's to say that you can't add other tips for other people on your website? So what happens is that you create all this great content. And then what you need to start doing, you need to start going into Google Plus and building your network there. Okay, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be on Facebook or you shouldn't be on Twitter. You should be equally using them the same. The one thing I will say though is that when you're using Google Plus, it's going to be a little more time intensive. Okay, but the bang for the buck is there because you don't have to pay $500 for an ad.
A way to think about it is like your website's your house, and everybody has a house, but everyone decorates it differently, and you want to have fresh cookies and nice comfy place. People want to keep coming back and hang out and see it. And that's what, like, the tour buses of realtors, if you will, are some of the social media things. It's kind of a way to look at it.
Okay. Make your website a destination for people to learn from. Okay. Yes.
I was going to say just platforms like WordPress have plugins and extensions that help you link like Google Plus, Facebook, all that stuff to your website.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a formula of how you write things in Google Plus. I mean, you just don't drop a link in and then you say peace out. You actually go in and you write a summary of what you're talking about. I think it's kind of like in Facebook. That's what you do. You kind of say, hey, check out this latest blog post on whatever, and then of course you drop the link and then you maybe get a couple likes and then you're done. In Google Plus, I've seen manifestos on Google Plus, and I'm like, why would you write that? And then all of a sudden it's got like 70+ ones, and it's got like reshares, and I'm like, what the F just happened? I'm not supposed to spend time doing this, but that's what that network does. So in terms of what I was talking about earlier, it's not Facebook and it's not Twitter. It is its own social network. It does its own thing.
One thing I really like about Google Plus is the ability to create groups. Like if you want to focus on certain niches, you can create the group. It's not like determined, like it's the same thing in Facebook now. You can create these kind of feeds or lists. But I really like that.
Yeah, you can create, like I use Google Plus kind of like as a curation tool. So like I have a circle just specifically for news. And it's NBC, CNN, Fox. It's all the news entities in there. And then of course I have Huffington Post in there. I have Slate, I have Infusionsoft, because to me that's the news. I have Mashable in there. And so every morning when I wake up and I go into Google Plus, I go into that feed, that particular feed that I have curated, and I get my information there. That's what I get. And then what I do is then I have my Hernandez Family Law Circle, and that's just like my sister and anyone who works with the firm, and then anything that's legal related. And so I'm seeing the content, I'm definitely seeing what is good, what is not good. Okay, and as people pump out bad content, I remove them from my circle. Yes.
On Google Hangouts, can you link it to Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube? You know what I'm saying? Like when you're doing comments, when you're doing like a live hangout?
Talk to that guy.
No, it's a short version of that one. You can YouTube and Google Plus link up well together. I'll be talking about that at 1:30, kind of share their information. But one of the shortcomings is that the reality is we live in a fractured world, and so you're going to have conversations that happen in lots of different places. There is no simple way to centralize all the comments in a live environment. More importantly, you don't want to. That way lies matters. I mean, do your show.
I mean, you can do your show. You could if you were like really good at it, and you could use a horrible comment tracker.
Or use a producer and have them do it.
Yeah, you could use Comment Tracker, and there's a Comment Tracker plugin that you could use. But it becomes more of an effort if you're not seasoned at multitasking.
And that's hard. Doing live and interacting with the audience, that's harder than just sitting and talking.
Yeah, I mean, I work on the radio and I multitask 6 computers, and that thing is just one computer. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I can't do it. It's just like, it's hard. Because you have to listen to what's going on, and then you have to be paying attention and reading, and like, oh, here's a great comment. And then you could read the comment prematurely and say, oh yeah, Brett, I loved your point about Slipknot and everything, but you suck. Oops. Like, you could let, I mean, you have to you have to look at what you're doing. It's hard. It's definitely hard. So, anyone else have any questions? Yes? Did you have a question? Oh, no. Oh. Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate
Yes.
I hope that was okay and it fit your...
Solid, yeah, no worries. I'll pick it up and do something, I'll spin off of that for
No, you're fine. Oh yeah, well I'm not an SEO and I hear people do that and I'm just like, no. That's usually like when I was creating these presentations, I was like, well, I know I need to have questions. So that's why I was hey, I know what you probably need that night, so that's the question. Yeah. Hey, no problem. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much.
That really sucks.
I don't know what you're doing, but do something. I'm going to come back. I'm going to watch TV.
just one more place to watch.
I'm not voting yes.
Yeah. So, well, actually, this. I really was. If someone, with their, okay, yes. I thought about taking my shows every Saturday.
Yeah, I think a great solution. Yeah, and especially with Skype right now, Skype is getting rid of the chat function. And so that's kind of a bummer that that's happened. Not really to me because I wanted all of these Yeah, you can share a screen. Yeah, you can share a screen, you can remote into their computer, you can help them, you can do all these amazing things within Google Hangouts that, like, I mean, I'm sure Evo might talk a little bit about that, but the application, the function of the application allows you to just pretty much read side by side. I've done consultations directly from Google Hangouts, and I say, okay, here's what we need to do. Let me log into your computer, and then I start playing around.
You're like me, Friday.
Exactly, yeah, I have like built somebody else's site, I'm just like they don't hear, if you hear whatever they've got my day job.
Yeah,
It's
it's tough for people who just want to be average and getting on there.
So they're like,
The average competitor. And I understand that. I'm not going to sit here and tell people you have to be on Google Plus as just a regular user. But if you're a business owner, absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, great. I hope, yeah. Okay, you're welcome. What was your name? I'm sorry. Claudia. Oh, okay. Claudia. Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate that. Let me plug and get over there. I saw Danny email me, so. I know you want to eat too. So.
I'm not looking for exposures.
Right. Should I find it?
My content. I don't want to just try to get, you know, national TV, like, okay.
I will, I'm
Yes, I don't know, we're only supposed to stay till 1, but I really want to see,
Evo's got it. Evo, the way I've seen Evo's hangouts, they're just like Evo's
But
like
it was really clear.
how he does hangouts, how you see it.
Concept.
Will it
So good.
You know,
Will it be recorded?
how they're
It's gonna be, I think, on Ustream, yeah.
You did a great job. I love how fast you talk.
Well, you
I
have to
love
do
it.
so much.
I know that.
And you usually preach people up and you talk so fast, and I go, well,
Radio.
gotta understand what you're saying. So,
Great job. I cannot wait to go and just like consume your blog.
not that much on there. There's enough, but there's not that much on
You
there.
know more than I do. It's a lot to learn.
So, on Google Plus, do you have a profile? You have your profile, but then do you have a page that is like you, the brand?
You'll make more headaches for yourself.
Yeah, all you are your own brand.
You are your brand. You can be a spokesperson for the brand, but if you do events on radio or events in media, create a page for that. You can create content on there, post it out there, and get word
oh no, I paid for that, you know, and I'm like, no,
personal profile, and share it
but that doesn't
from
mean
your
I'm
events on
gonna be
media
regular
to yours. Because that's where you're building relationships.
So on my website, New Limits Radio Show, if I want to put a badge on there, is it that's on media or is it No Limits Radio?
Whatever.
Christina Wagner, or is it?
It's gonna be Christina Wagner. It's gonna be
Because you're the person,
It's
and
on my
then,
Facebook business page.
yeah, don't think anything you know from Facebook, you are it, and then it goes around. Now, like with me, because I have a business that's brick and mortar, I do have a page, and things will go, but for you, it's, you are it, and then you're sharing to those business pages, so that if I go to, I'm looking at stuff, and I'm like, oh, here it is, I go, and like you said, it's like a newspaper, it's like, oh, here's everything that she's ever.
talking to?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So
I'm like,
when I go to the developer area, I'm gonna be able to get a badge from my Christina Wagner profile on there.
And you can get them from communities too. And I would recommend that you start a community for veterans.
Yeah.
I haven't
So
started
I'm
it because I
thinking to
don't have
myself, all right,
that
I need to
You started, you were starting out with how I got.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were talking to me.
Thank you.
No. Were you looking for me? I was looking for. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was
Well,
listening to you.
good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, all right. I'll follow you.
You're doing great. Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Take care.
Okay.
Bella, I didn't.
This is my new profile on No Limits Radio Show.
It's wonderful.
And I wanted to have this, because this is, that's on media, this is the website, so you
I do. It's kind of an outdated crown, but
On internet, which is basically, the half hour.
yes.
Christina, let's think about it really quick, because I'm gonna go eat, and then I'm gonna
I'm so excited to be here. I just found out about this, like, at this was.
Hi, Bella.
Jessica.
Nice to meet you.
This was on, like.
Bye. I love you. I'll see you later. We'll see each other soon. Let's figure out something.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good.
You know what I mean? There's so, I'm so.
Well, so right now I'm just doing live coaching and hypnosis and kind of like starting that business. But I really want to.
So that means, that means I can add this to a playlist. Just a playlist. Right. Oh, you know what? I look at this and go, this is 19 minutes. I don't want to watch this. Put it to my TV so when I go home with the smart TVs. Now I go onto YouTube and go to my TV queue and then I'll sit and watch a half-hour show.
Really?
That's
But
where-
somebody's finding it because they're searching on the internet or they're finding the show that way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like I said, that's
Interesting.
the iceberg stuff.
Right, right.
That's where it's gonna go. Somebody keeps saying, it's gotta be short, it's gotta be 3 minutes, it's gotta be 2 minutes, it's gotta be 90 seconds.
Right, right.
And then
You're
it's gonna
talking
go-
like
and then-
15
and then
seconds
it's gonna-
going, glad you were here.
And then it's gonna start, and it's gonna start stretching back out.
Right.
Because people are gonna be more, and so you're gonna be able to.
Right.
I can watch this when I get home, watch it later.
Well,
Get
and you
home.
know what? I agree with that because I don't don't wanna watch something on this little screen. I don't care if I was on an iPad, it's still too small. Like, that's why we have big screens, you know what I mean? So it's like, I get that, that's a fabulous idea. Oh my gosh, I totally wanna see that, it's 19 minutes and I wanna see it on the big screen. I'm gonna wait till I get home.
Yeah. And so I just, and I
Put it in
create my
the
little-
queue.
I put it
That's
in the queue, and
very
then when